Okay, back at this again, and I was taking a look at the board. The board's on. I'm gonna put motors on next, but in all my builds I do, because I'm not the best at these, I like to make sure, I just think it's a good idea to lay out exactly what you're gonna do on the board, and all the TX and RXs you're gonna use on this flight controller. So I'm gonna use TX and RX3 for the GPS, because it has a 5 volt and a 3.5. So if this new GPS doesn't work, that runs off a 5 volt, I can use a 3.3 volt and won't have to mess with it. Put the receiver on T1, and then the VTX on TX and RX5, UART5, and then the camera right there. It's right there, all there in front of it. So I just usually write that down on there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it helps me kind of know where everything goes on the board, and also helps me because I like to solder everything on the board, all the points at the same time. That way I can just go back and I know which ones I need to plug in where and what to solder. So this kind of helps me do that. Okay, I found these little skid pads, and since I'm top mounting the batteries, I'm going to put these on the bottom side of this. But the only thing is, the screws that came with it, once you put them through here, they're not long enough to really grip on the motors. So I do have this backup case of just screws that I got on Amazon. I think it was like $12 for this thing, and it's really nice. So I found some little longer one in there. You can see the difference. It's just a little longer so you can get a better grip on the motors, and the motors don't come off. I try to put these on as many drones as possible because they're really good, so it doesn't beat up the bottom of the drone. And also, I don't like these as much as I like the other ones. It's the wrong damn screw. So just put those in loosely. But I don't really like these as much as I do the ones that cover the outside, but I don't have any, and this frame didn't come with any. This frame's kind of bare minimum, but it's still, for $50, is a nice frame. So we're just going to line all these up, screw them in. Once again, don't screw them in too tight. You just want enough so that it cinches down the motor without really messing it up, because the inside of these are just aluminum, and it will, I've messed up several motors trying to screw them down too tight, and those fit perfect. The screw's not sticking out. With these Unibells too, you never really run into a problem getting the screw too high, because if you do, then you're definitely using the wrong screw. So let's get all these on and move on to the next step. Okay, all the motors are on. Actually, motors are like my least favorite thing to put on a quad. They're really a pain. They slide all over the place. I even accidentally put them on backwards before and had to take the whole thing apart. I find probably the easiest way to do it is put these two on first loosely and then line these up. I mean, they just slide all over the place. They're a pain, but obviously you need them. And then just don't screw them down too tight, because you will definitely strip them, and when you go to take them off, it's just a mess. You can apply a little Loctite to it if you want. The screws, I don't, because I've had more problem with Loctite than it's actually helped. I just go every once in a while after a fly and double check and make sure they're all tight. Okay, so now these wires are everywhere. So let's cut these down so this doesn't look like such a mess right here. And how I cut them, I just take one at a time. The inside one, and since we can fix all this in Betaflight, it doesn't really matter. I need coffee. I just take the inside lane right here wire and flatten it all the way down on the arm, take it to the last ESC pad I'm going to do and cut it right after that. Same with the second one, so on and so forth. So I'll just bring it down here, measure it out right here, and snip. Middle one, I don't know if you can see that or not, a little better. Middle one, all the way down the arm, across there, and snip. This pretty much won't give you a bunch of wire sticking out. All the way down the arm, across the last ESC pad, and snip. Okay. That's pretty good. So then these are all lined up. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, so let's, and when we go to solder them too, you'll see they'll just kind of stick back in here. It holds them back on there, so it'll look a lot better. Alright, let's go. I'll get all these cut and we'll go to the next step. Okay, so I bought this roll of whatever the hell this is, the wire protector crap. So I cut it down to size here, but what I noticed is, like, as soon as I cut it, the edges started to fray, and I looked at the other side, and it looks like it was like heated up so it wouldn't fray. So I just took a lighter, ran across there, and that like sealed it. So if you buy this stuff, you definitely want to do that, because if not, it's just going to break apart. There you go. When you cut it, so just go through it, hit it one time like that. It'll like shrink back a little, but it looks like it helped it seal up so they don't fray. Yeah, that works good. That one needs a little more. Needs a little more cooked. Okay. Like I said, I've never used these things before. They just look cool. I'm sure that they're more of a pain in the ass than anything, but we'll give it a shot. Why not? I probably cut them way too long, but I was trying to get it to cover. Yeah, I cut it way too long. I was trying to get it to cover these little holes right, these little screw nuts, rivets right here, so that the motor wires don't drag across them and fray, and they do. So I need to cut that back a little, probably about right there. See how this works. Sorry, my allergies are killing me. Where's my damn... This is what my desk looks like when I start to build. It's just crap everywhere. Where's my scissors? Okay, we're gonna pause till I... no, we're not. Here they are. So we're gonna cut this back a little. Seal it up. And then try this again. Wow. There we go. Doesn't look too bad, actually. Yeah, it actually looks kind of good. And it covers those rivets there. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Little bling on it, never hurt anybody. I'm guessing it's going to be a bitch to solder it to, but what's new? Maybe a little zip tie on that. Okay, let's get all these on. Okay, that actually turned out a lot better than I thought it did. Keeps the motor wires in place for a little bit so I can solder the board without them going all over the place. Covers that rivet up, which works out. But you do really need to give this... See how that just peels apart there? You really need to burn this for a second after you cut it till it almost pulls back so it seals back up, and it'll be a little sticky. If not, it's just gonna fray. Like, that's a lot better there, and it's just gonna fall apart. So don't be afraid to burn that a little if you're gonna use this stuff. I'm sold right now on it, but we'll see when I go to solder everything up if I'm still sold and don't rip it off. Okay, now we are going to take a look again at the flight controller, and I'm going to solder all the pads I'm going to be using. I like to go one at a time after I get power to the board and check and make sure everything's working as I go. I'll check the VTX, I'll check the camera, I'll power on the receiver, make sure it's working, then the GPS. I don't like to, at the end, plug in a battery and found out the VTX and the damn GPS is wired wrong or doesn't work, and then I had to take the whole thing apart again. So I like to go one at a time, check all the components, and make sure they work. So right now we're going to take this board, top board off. We're probably going to take these back standoffs off, tuck these under here so we can get our... And on this, I think we're going to go out the side with this because it came with this little mounting piece, which is super cool. It's really the only thing it came with, well, besides the TPU and everything. But it just puts on, it goes on right there so that your battery can be top mounted, sits here and just plugs in there, which is, I like that little piece. All my other drones are bottom mounted just because, well, I don't know why, but so I think we're gonna run this out the side here, have room for the VTX back here. So let's get all these pads wired up, ready to go. Like I said, I like to take the top board off. We'll just put it over here for now because I don't want to get any solder. So I'm going to solder up the ESCs and then get everything working down here. Also, while we're at it, you're going to add a little wire on the VBAT pad, and I'll show you what it's for in a little bit. Just enough. We can cut this down in a little bit if we need to, but make sure is black and red, because if you mess this up, then you're just gonna fry everything. It's for the capacitor. And it's just easier to hook it up now back here and then have it just lay down in here, because there's plenty of room in this frame. So I'll show you that in a minute. So let's get all these tinned up and ready to go. Okay, so now we're ready to get all the motor tabs ready and the main battery ready. I like using this little gadget here when I solder instead of the big machine I have. It's just a lot easier and a little more flexible. I'm just going to hit all this real quick with some flux. This stuff really, I didn't use it before, but then I started using it, and then everything just was a lot easier. So we're just going to hit these out real quick. And then we'll get working. These are pretty easy to do, actually. What I like to do is just heat the pad a little and then apply the solder to it. And these pads are nice because they already have little grooves in them. So just like that, nice and shiny. Can't see shit there. There you go. And then just continue on all the way through these. Hit the pad, strike it over. And I usually like go down the side of it. It kind of cuts off the flow of the solder and gives it that nice little round bubble. That, along with the flux, helps out. Around it. That one a little globby. Just hit that up real quick. Get some of that off the come on. The flux really helps. Wow, my allergies are brutal. And it's summer. Well, sometimes summer in Cincinnati. Okay, all those are done. They don't look bad. If you find one that's just not right, just hit it real quick and it'll be fine. Okay. Now for the battery lead, same thing. I usually keep it on about 360 to do this. Just heat this up for a second. I don't want to keep it too hot for too long. And just kind of feed it in there until it covers it all up. I don't like a huge glob there. I've seen some people do this with a lot more solder. It just takes it longer to heat back up when you go to put the battery lead back on. Okay. That actually looks halfway decent. I'm shocked. Beginner's luck. Okay, now let's get some of these wires on here. Now when you do the motor wires, and I learned this from watching a bunch of people and also screwing this up a bunch of times. you really don't want that much wire. You just want enough that it fits on the pad, because if it stretches over, it's going to contact something else on here, or it's going to hit something else. So you just want to make sure you have enough wire exposed so that it fits on the pad properly. Alright, and usually I just set these up like this, pre-tin these real quick, and I just hold it on the back. Doesn't need a lot, just enough to get on it. Actually, this light's doing more harm than good right now, because I can't see shit. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, and these things are kind of a pain, but it is what it is. Hopefully they'll look cool at the end at least. Come on, buddy. It helps if you talk to it too. There's one. I don't know why that one didn't want to go on. Sometimes you have that. It should go on a lot easier like that. There's two. And then there's three. Alright, let's see how these... If you didn't have this on here, then it wouldn't look like that. So we just gotta move that over. Squeeze this in here. Okay. We'll zip tie it right here. That doesn't look bad either like that. I'm not loving how that's unfrayed a little, but it does protect it. The wires from these little metal screws here. Okay, that doesn't look bad. We'll zip tie this down. Kind of get it out of the way. There we go. Probably could have melted that a little better on there, as you can see, but it doesn't look bad. And then we'll just cut off the excess. And we're down one motor. Alright, let's get the rest of these things. And just if you were wondering, I actually use just a little wire stripper to cut these off. Most people just pull it off with their fingernails, but I don't have any. And you can, I think it's a lot better because you can make an even amount and you can keep it small. Sometimes if you pull them off, it stretches the plastic around it and it just doesn't do it equally. So I like to do it that way. Do it however you want. Tin this, tin this, tin this. And really something else you should definitely do, which I didn't, but I'm going to do now, is put a piece of something over this, just so the board doesn't get any crap on it. Probably not the best example. But just something like that, just to protect it. Any little flicks or whatever get on the board. Hit this real quick with the pen. And then, yeah, these are, these little wire guards are not the easiest thing to work around. Nice, that worked good. Tweezers are your friend here. Most of the time. It just creates a weird angle on these. All right, those are all good. Okay, this didn't actually turn out too bad. I don't know how good you can see them. I always move that the wrong way in the camera. There's always one that's a pain in the ass though, and that was definitely this one here. And the more I messed with it, the bigger pain in the ass it became, so I just quit messing with it. It'll work, it's fine. It's amazing how if you watch Bardwell and Steel, like every single one of theirs is like a perfect bubble, shiny, no problem. I don't know how they do it. But yeah, those are actually not going to look bad on here either. This one's a little tight, but I think I can get it to work. Yeah, that's not too bad. I don't want to put too much stress on the wires because in a crash you want to have a little room to give, and we're definitely going to crash. There's 100% chance that this is going to crash. We're trying to build one for speed, just see how fast we can get it. The fastest one we got so far was 126 miles an hour, which I thought was pretty cool. Obviously we have full-time jobs, and this is just a hobby for us, and Greg and I just like doing this. I wish I had more time to devote to it, but gotta put food on the table, take kids to practice, and everything else that comes with life. So, last zip tie here. Boom. Snip. I gotta clean up this board. Okay. That actually doesn't look too god awful. Looks like all the solder cut pretty good. Nothing's touching. Definitely want to just go through there and make sure none of these are touching. That's what this is really good for. Make sure I put the board in the correct dimensions. That's also something too. I know the board's right, but it does have the motors. There's 4. Hopefully that's 2. Here's 1, and here's 3. So those are all, the board's facing the right way. I have put the board on the wrong way. I've put it on backwards. I put it on upside down, which is a real fun trick to fix in Beta Flight. That took like a couple hours to figure that out. So yeah, I've done about everything wrong. So hopefully something on here helps somebody do it right. Okay, what's next? I guess we're gonna put the battery lead on next. Like I said, we're gonna go in from the side here. So this will be a tricky little solder, as you can see, but it shouldn't be too bad. I just want to leave enough room here for the VTX, and then so the battery can mount on the top. So I cut these kind of short, going in this way, and I want to give it a little slack here. So once again, when you crash, it's not going to yank it off, because if it yanks off these pads, which I've done before too, you're pretty much just screwed. So we're going to strip that, my little helping hands. I'm going to put you down for a second. These things are great, these little helping hands. I never thought I'd use them until I got them, and now, honestly, wrong way. Honestly, I use them more than I would think. And this little light, I don't know if you can see that little light. It's a magnifying glass and a light. I think I got it off of Race Day Quads. I pretty much buy everything off of there. And this isn't a promotion for them. They're in Florida, I think. Florida, Georgia or something, I don't know. But anyway, they ship really fast. So that's one of the reasons I like it. I'm in Cincinnati, so it doesn't take but a second. Thank you, motion detected at the front door. So we're just gonna feed this in here. The more you get this to soak up, really the easier it is to get on here. So I just keep feeding it until it kind of blobs. And believe it or not, it'll soak into those wires pretty good. Just keep it on there, it'll soak in. And that doesn't look too shabby. Actually, it does. That looks crappy here. There we go. You don't want any little wires sticking out or anything, because they're the ones that end up touching the wrong pad. I shouldn't be doing that without covering that. That's also something, make sure that's covered. I have a horrible habit of not doing it. Anytime you're soldering, you shouldn't even be soldering over it. That was stupid. But that's why you're watching, to learn how not to do this sometimes. Okay. Alright, let's get this on here. Okay, yeah, this is going to be a tricky little solder here. Alright, getting around this outside and into here. I do like to turn this up for this so that 400, well, I guess we're just going to 400 because that's as high as it goes. That way it's just as quick as possible, because I don't want to leave this heat on this board for that long. How about we get this little thing out of the way, and then try to get this down as quick as possible. Oh, without doing that. Okay, that's not bad. That's not too bad. I think I'm going to add a little to the top here, just to kind of blend it in. That looks a lot better like that. Yeah, that wasn't as miserable as I thought it was going to be. It does help when you turn up the heat though. Yeah, this one's gonna suck. This one's gonna suck. These pads are kind of designed funny too. Not funny haha either. Funny is they should have made them flat and not curve the end of it there. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. I just don't know what the hell it would be. Alright, so sometimes when I'm having a little issue with these, I will add some solder to the top of it. It just kind of helps it settle down in. It's on, but that's not good. Okay. Alright, I think this needs to be, I think I need a little more length on this to really get this to sit down. So we're going to take a little bit more off the top. I don't want to take too much. There we go. That's better. And then we'll just add some more solder to this. These are always a pain to get in. Well, they are for me. I like the smaller ones. Solder pads, they're easier. Okay. That looks better. Well, let's give it a shot. Oh, that was hot. All right, come on, buddy. Yeah, Josh Bardwell and all these guys, they do this in one take. Like, oh yeah, here it goes. Just goes right on there like this. There we go. That's good. That'll work. That looks nice. Actually, it doesn't look bad. Board's not too hot. I just want to make sure nothing's touching. No, nothing's touching. That's all good. And then really the last step on this I want to do really quick while I have this out like this is hook up these two wires. And I think they're going to be long enough just to put that there where I want it. You don't need a lot for these, just got to tin them up real quick and put them on here. I put that on first so that there's some solder on there at least. We just really need this to stick real quick and be in and out of this. And I'm going to run these this way. Like I said, this is just, I think it's easier to put this on afterwards. Some people put this on before. Then you got that little wire moving all over the place. You're trying to solder the battery on. There's that one. That was a lot more difficult than it needed to be. There we go, and there's that one. Okay, and we're just going to run these underneath the board. Alrighty, what's next? Oh, we're going to move on and get this, all this soldered up next.